Ang pag-aalsa sa Cavite, Cavite Mutiny 1872. Kung walang pag-aalsa sa Cavite 1872, hindi magkakaroon ng 1896 Philippine Revolution. Bakit nga ba nagkaroon ng pag-aalsa? Para sa pananaw ng mga Espanyol. Noon pa man, natunugan na ng Gobernador General ng Pilipinas na magkakaroon ng pag-aalsa ang mga Pilipino, at ito ay hindi aksidente o maliit na pagkilos lamang, kundi isang malawakang pag-aalsa na aabot ang labanan hanggang sa Maynila at may layuning mapatalsik ang mga Espanyol. At para naman sa pananaw ng mga Pilipino, ang gobyerno ng Espanyol ay inalisa ng mga benepisyo o pribilehiyo ang mga manggagawang Pilipino. Halimbawa na lamang nito ang puro serbisyo at pagbabayad ng buwis. Sa pananaw ng mga Pilipino, inapi at inalasan sila ng kanilang pinaghirapan sa karapatan at pribilehiyo. Ang pag-asa sa Cavite ay isang paglaban ng mga manggagawa at sundalong Pilipino laban sa pwersa ng mga Espanyol na nakabase sa muog ng San Felipe sa probinsya ng Cavite. Ang pag-aasang ito ay aabot hanggang sa umabot ito sa buong bansa at mapabagsak ang mga Espanyol. Subalit, agad itong napigilan ni Gobernador General Rafael de Izquierdo at mabilisang nilitis at minarusahan ang mga itinurong kasali sa pag-aalsa. Naganap ang pag-aalsa sa Cavite noong gabi ng January 20, 1872. Ito ay naging daan ng mga manggagawa at sundalo upang ipahayag ang kanilang pagtutol sa pagpapataw muli sa kanila ng taunang buwis at pagbibigay ng pulo. Ang pag-aalsa na ito ay agad na nasupil ng gobernador at pinatawan ng mga pagkakakulong at kamatayan ang mga naarestong nag-alsa laban sa pamahalaan. Good day everyone, I am Angel Flarbasas, mediator of this debate. The topic of this debate is that whether or not the native clergy is the reason behind the Cavite Mutiny. Cavite Mutiny is a very important event that happened to the Philippine history. This was a very controversial history because of so many versions of points of views from different perspectives of writers. When Cavite Mutiny happened was on January 20, 1872. It was the brief uprisings of 200 Filipino troops and workers at the Cavite Arsenal which became the excuse for the Spanish oppression of the embryonic Philippine nationalist movement. The panel was parted into two as the affirmative and negative side. For the affirmative side, who believed that the native clergy was the reason behind the Cavite Mutiny, we have Alisa, Christian, Ron, and Angel. For the negative side, who believed that the native clergy was not the reason behind the Cavite Mutiny, we have John Paul, Hannah, Alisa.
The central government deprived friars of the powers of involvement in civil government and governing and handling universities. So the native clergy schemed mestizos and lawyers to break free from the Spanish government and establish a government of their own, with the priest as their supreme leader. The event is just a simple mutiny and they have no intention of separation from Spain but only secure materials and education advancement in the country. Their reforms somewhat encourage the Filipino workers from Arsenal to conduct their own reform that leads to one thing to another, that caused the death of Gomborza and other mutineers. This incite and stimulate the hatred of the native Filipinos or Indios towards Spaniards. The death of Gomborza awakened strong spirit of anger and resentment among the Filipinos.
The displeasure felt by the Indios towards the Spaniards is common and seemingly generic, uniform. They harbored hatred because of the maltreatment, operations, injustice, abuse that they have experienced from the Spanish colonizer. The imposition of unreasonable tax may have been their last straw which proves their heartfelt, with favor and nationalism, to revolt against their oppressor, so their longing for a revolution is already present. The generic etc. were simply there to help organized plan.
I thank the member for these remarks. I will now call upon the second speaker for the proposition.
Native clergy schemes mestizos and lawyers to get rid of the Spanish government and establish a government with their own with a priest as a supreme leader. They incited and stimulate the hatred of the native Filipinos, the Indios, towards the Spaniards. There are educated, there are means of monetary, capable of organizing and scheming, and basically pawns are the only natives, them being the army to be mobilized whenever they needed to be.
How can you say that the native clergy is the reason behind the Cavite Mutiny, wherein the Spaniards only include them, and in which the Spaniards can also be the reason, because there is no revolution if there's a good leadership? We will now hear another 3 minutes reply from each team starting from the preposition.
The aspiary stated the clergies were men with higher education, at least in comparison with the natives, Indus whom were deprived of their rights and means to attain such level of education. A revolution needs proper planning and organization, both of which needs a certain level of intellect and knowledge from them to be effective and efficient. It can therefore be more sensible to think that the mutiny in its totality is the brainchild of learned individuals who are more capable to plan and organize.
The heartland that the natives, Indios harbor towards the Spaniard, had been present long before the mutiny. It was caused by injustice and abuse by a colonizer. It was not induced by the native races, so it's their desire for revolution and for information that would have given them to liberty. They so long to have. Therefore, the natives, Indios, themselves are the proponents of the side mutiny. The clergies were there to again aim their knowledge and other resources. It's just that in the end, well, all hope seemed lost among them. So, some of the mutineers turned against the fellow and even went to testify against the clergies.
The immediate cause the peremptory order from governor squared the exacting personal taxes from the Filipino laborers in the engineering and artillery corps in Cavite Arsenal, and requiring them to perform forced labor like ordinary subjects. Until then, these workers in the arsenal had been enjoying exemptions from both taxes and forced labor. January 20, the day of the revolt, was payday, and the laborers found the amount of taxes as well as the corresponding fee in lieu of the forced labor deducted from their pay envelopes. It was the last straw. That night they mutinied.
What you've said was the immediate cause. While it's true that may have been the last straw before the blaze of the mutiny, embers were already scorching even long before then. There was already an animosity between the native clergies and the friar. They've already been plotting and planning to overthrow the current government and take the seat for their own. Those laborers that you've mentioned were in a way used seemingly as pawn or army for the fulfillment of the initial plans of the native clergies. Their hatred towards the Spaniards were stimulated by the native clergy so much, so that the laborers themselves took arms and started a mutiny. But that doesn't change the fact that the native clergies did prepare and organize the mutiny.